that your answer? Your policies are working at the border?
That is a complete mischaracterization of what I said.
Are your policies working at the border?
What I have said before, and I repeat
now. Answer my question. Are your policies working at the border, Mr. Secretary? Yes or no? Are they working?
We have a plan. We are executing the plan. The plan takes time to execute. What makes the plan more challenging is, number one, COVID.
COVID was at its height a year ago, Mr. Secretary, and with all due respect, we saw none of these numbers a year ago. This crisis has occurred under your tenure. This is a crisis that you have engineered with your policies.
That was Senator Josh Hawley making an important point to Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas. This is engineered by the Democrats. What they're doing at the border is purposeful. Now, look no further than what we learned from Axios tonight. 50,000 illegal immigrants have been released into the country without a court date and told to report to an ICE office instead. Well, just 13% have showed up so far. Senator Hawley joins me now. Senator, now, they won't come out and say it, but you can't convince me that this isn't what the Democrats want, a massive influx of humanity into the United States.
Laura, it's exactly what they want, and I think one of the reasons that Secretary Mayorkas wouldn't say that their plans weren't working, I mean, he just wouldn't answer that question, is because their plan is an open border. Their plan is amnesty, and their plan is to dismantle ICE. And by the way, they're doing every single one of those things, and they're trying to call it different things. They're trying to label it in different ways. They're trying to hide it. But when you look at what's happening, you see a border that is open. You see effective amnesty for criminals, and then you see them taking away ICE's enforcement capability. This is their plan, and they're executing on it, and boy, is it bad for this country.
Now, Iowa Governor Kim Reynolds today suggested that some of these aliens are partially to blame for rising COVID-19 cases, saying part of the problem is the southern border is open. We've got 88 countries that are coming across the border. They don't have vaccines, so none of them are vaccinated, and they're getting dispersed throughout the country. Well, for that, Senator Hawley, Governor Reynolds was attacked by Joe Henry, state political director for Latin American Citizens Group, and said that Reynolds' comments amounted to hate mongering. So, Senator, this really isn't about COVID, really. I mean, it's not about COVID. This is about protecting the sensitivities of illegals against apparently name-calling what they were called for, decades in the U.S. Code, aliens.
You know, it's amazing, too, at a time when we've got the CDC today reversing their guidance on masks and now saying that even vaccinated people have to wear masks indoors. I mean, which is insane in its own way, Laura, but at the same time to allow a flood of illegal immigrants across the border. It's not as if we're testing people when they come across. They're allowed into the country, allowed into the interior of the country. And the Biden administration just doesn't care. I mean, on the one hand, they say, oh, it's a public health crisis. On the other hand, they're doing nothing at the border to try to stem it. So this is part of their plan, Laura. I mean, the truth is they want an open border, and that's what they're getting.
Well, so their plan is working. I think that's your point, and that was a phenomenal series of questions. But their plan is working because they want to bring in, as they already have this year, double the size of the city of Cleveland. 1 million people so far have been apprehended at the border, 1 million. There's some good news, Senator. I got to get to this. This is fresh polling from the NRCC saying 7 out of 10 voters in battleground districts express high levels of concern about rising prices and the higher cost of living. Further, voters in these battleground districts trust Republicans over Democrats in Congress to deal with crime and public safety. Independents and Hispanic Senator also disapproving of Biden's handling of the border crisis by a staggering 23 percentage points. This is terrible news for the Democrats, and maybe there's a silver lining here, at least for next year's midterm. Senator, your thoughts?
Well, it's just reality. And what you see is Joe Biden totally out of touch with reality. I mean, the American people don't want an open border. The American people don't want this crime wave that he is allowing to crash all over the country. The American people don't want runaway inflation, yet he is allowing and pushing forward all of these things. And when it comes to the border, Laura, you look at the chaos there. You look at the violence. You look at the drugs that are coming across. I mean, it's insane. And the American people don't want it. And I think what they're trying to send Joe Biden a message. He's not listening.